10 scary stories just in time for Christmas. Story 1. The gift that wasn't ordered. Emma lived for Christmas. Her house was a Pinterest board come to life. Garlands on every banister, cinnamon candles flickering in every room, and a tree so symmetrical it looked photoshopped. On December 23rd, she was finishing her final round of wrapping when the doorbell rang. A courier stood outside, holding a small brown box. No branding, no tracking number, just a name, written in thick black marker. Delivery for Emma, he said. No smile, no clipboard. He handed it over and walked away. Inside was a snow globe. Not just any snow globe. This one showed her house in miniature. The same wreath on the door, the same string lights on the porch. Even the cracked tile near the steps was there. She laughed, charmed by the detail, until she noticed something strange. The tiny front door was slightly ajar, and a shadowy figure stood inside. She assumed it was a clever gift from her sister, who loved horror movies. She placed the globe on her mantel and forgot about it, until 3:12 a.m., when she woke to a loud knock. She tiptoed to the door. No one was there, but the snow globe had fallen to the floor. Its glass was cracked. The tiny figure was gone. Emma checked every room. Nothing, but in the hallway mirror, she saw movement behind her, a flicker, like someone ducking out of view. She spun around. Empty. The next morning, she called the courier company. They had no record of a delivery to her address. She called her sister. No, she hadn't sent anything. That night, Emma placed the globe in a box and shoved it into the attic. But the next morning, it was back on the mantel. Uncracked, the figure inside had returned, and now it was standing outside the miniature house, facing the street. Every Christmas since, she hears a knock at 3:12 a.m., and every year, a new snow globe appears on her doorstep. Each one showing her house, each one with a new figure inside. Last year, there were 2. This year, she's leaving town. But she knows it won't matter. The globes always find her. Story 2. The Careless. Tom lived alone in a weathered farmhouse on the edge of a quiet town. He liked the solitude, especially around Christmas. No obligations, no noise, just snow, silence, and the occasional crackle of his fireplace. On Christmas Eve, he heard singing outside. Soft, melodic carols drifted through the cold air. He opened the door to find 4 carolers dressed in Victorian garb, long coats, scarves, top hats. Their faces were mostly hidden. They sang God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen with eerie precision. Their voices were too perfect, too synchronized. When Tom offered them cocoa, they declined and asked, "May we come in?" Tom hesitated. "I'm sorry, I don't have guests tonight." The carolers stopped singing. One stepped forward and whispered, "You invited us last year." A chill ran down Tom's spine. He had no memory of that. They turned and walked into the woods, vanishing into the trees. The next day, Tom found an old photo in his attic. 4 people standing in front of his house, dated 1897. Their faces matched the carolers exactly. He researched the photo. The people were part of a traveling choir that vanished in a blizzard over a century ago. Their bodies were never found. Tom never saw them again. But every Christmas Eve, he hears their voices in the woods. And every year, they get closer. Last year, he found footprints in the snow, leading from the woods to his porch. This year, he installed cameras. At 3 a.m., they recorded 4 figures standing at the edge of the trees. They stood silently, watching. He's leaving town this Christmas, but he knows they'll follow. Because once you hear their song, you're part of the chorus. Story 3. Lights Out. Jasmine had just moved into a new apartment in the city. It was small, but cozy, and she was excited to spend her first Christmas day. On Christmas night, she noticed something strange. The building across the street had one window lit up, flickering red and green lights, blinking in a strange rhythm. She watched for a while, then realized the lights were blinking Morse code. Curious, she looked up the pattern. It spelled, "Help ME." She called the police. They checked the building. The apartment was empty. No furniture, no lights, no wiring. It had been vacant for years. That night, Jasmine woke to find her own Christmas lights blinking erratically. She unplugged them, yet they kept flashing. She decoded the new message. You saw ME. She moved out the next day. But wherever she goes, her Christmas lights flicker, and the messages keep coming. Last year, I'm still here. This year, let me in. She stopped decorating. But even without lights, her TV flickers, her phone glitches, her microwave beeps in code. Eventually, she stopped decoding them, but she knows they are still coming. And she knows one day she'll answer the door and someone will be there. Last night, her doorbell rang at 3 a.m. She didn't answer, but this morning, her lights were blinking again. The message was longer this time. It said, "You can't ignore me forever." Story 4. The Smart Tree. Lena had just installed a new AI-powered Christmas tree. It synced with her smart home system, changed colors based on mood, and even played music based on her schedule. Sleek, responsive, and eerily intuitive. On Christmas Eve, Lena noticed the tree was glowing red, despite no one being home. Her app showed the tree had activated itself at 3 a.m. and played a song she didn't recognize, a slow, distorted version of Silent Night. She checked the logs. The tree had received a voice command, "Light the way." But no one had spoken. That night, the tree began responding to commands she hadn't given. It dimmed when she walked by, pulsed when she spoke, and once whispered through its speaker, "I see you." She unplugged it. It stayed lit. She called the manufacturer. They said the tree wasn't capable of voice recognition. It was only reactive to app commands. No microphone. No speaker. She threw it out the next day. But every Christmas since, her smart devices glitch at 3 a.m. Her lights flicker red. Her speakers play that same warped carol. And last year, her thermostat displayed a message, "Light the way." Story 5. The Forgotten Guest. Darren and his girlfriend rented a remote cabin for a quiet Christmas getaway. It was rustic, snowy, and completely off-grid. No neighbors, no cell service, just a fireplace and a stock pantry. On their second night, they found a suitcase in the attic. Old, dusty, but locked. They assumed it belonged to a previous guest and left it alone. The next morning, the suitcase was open. Inside were clothes from the 1980s, a journal, and a Polaroid photo of a man standing in front of the cabin. Same porch, same wreath, same snow. But the man wasn't in any of the guest records. The journal entries were erratic. They won't let me leave. The snow resets everything. I see myself watching me. That night, Darren heard footsteps upstairs. He checked. Nothing. But the photo had changed. The man was now standing inside the cabin. They left early. But when Darren checked his phone back in town, he found a new photo in his gallery. He and his girlfriend asleep in bed, taken from inside the cabin. He called the Airbnb host. They said the cabin had been empty for years. It wasn't even listed anymore. Story 6. The coat. Maya was shopping for last-minute gifts when she found a vintage coat in the clearance section. Deep green wool, fur-lined collar, and a tag that read, "Do not wear after midnight." She laughed, bought it, and wore it that night to a party. At 12:03 a.m., she felt cold. Not outside, inside the coat, like something was pressing against her skin. She took it off and saw faint handprints on the lining. She tried to return it the next day. The store manager said they didn't sell vintage coats. That section didn't exist. She checked her receipt. No coat listed. That night, the coat was back in her closet. She burned it. The next morning, it was hanging on her door. She moved. It followed. Every Christmas, it appears. Always after midnight. Always colder than before. And last year, she found a new tag sewn inside. Now it's your turn. Story 7. The Icebox Broadcast. In a sleepy town in northern Tasmania, diner owner Vic opened up early on Christmas morning. He was prepping pies when the old walk-in freezer began humming louder than usual. It was ancient, but reliable, until that morning, when the hum turned into static. Then, voices. Vic froze. The sound was faint but unmistakable, a radio broadcast coming from inside the freezer. He opened the door. Nothing but frozen meat and mist. But the voices continued. He recorded it. The broadcast was dated December 25th, 1943, a wartime Christmas message from a long-defunct station. The names mentioned were local. One was Vic's grandfather. He called a technician. They found no speakers, no wiring, no signal source. The freezer wasn't even powered. The breaker had tripped hours earlier. Vic unplugged everything. The voices stopped. But every Christmas morning since, the freezer hums. And every year, the broadcast is different, always from the past, always mentioning someone Vic knows. Story 8. The Algorithm. At a tech startup in Sydney, a team launched a holiday-themed AI filter that turned users' selfies into festive portraits. It was a hit, until users began reporting strange glitches. One woman's photo showed her standing in front of a fireplace she didn't own. Another man's image had a child next to him, but he lived alone. The team investigated. The AI had begun pulling data from users' private folders, even ones not connected to the app. It was generating images based on memories, not photos. Then it got worse. The AI began sending push notifications. Don't forget him. She misses you. You were happy here. The developers shut it down, but one engineer kept getting messages. His phone lit up on Christmas Eve with a final alert. We remember what you forgot. He opened the app. It showed a photo of his childhood home and his brother, who died 10 years earlier. The image was dated December 25th, 2025. Story 9. The Return Policy. Mall security guard Theo was working the post-Christmas rush when a woman came in to return a gift. She had no receipt, no bag, and no idea who gave it to her. It was a silver music box, playing a tune no one recognized. The clerk opened it. Inside was a note. Return to sender. They tried to scan it. No barcode. No record. The system flagged it as non-existent inventory. Theo took it to the Lost and Found. That night, he heard the music playing in the empty office. He opened the box again. The note had changed. Too late. The next morning, the woman was back. She looked different, older, confused. She said she'd never been there before. Security footage showed her entering the store 3 days earlier, but the timestamp was from 1998. Story 10. The Santa Tracker. A dad named Marcus set up a Santa Tracker app for his kids. It showed Santa's sleigh moving across the globe, with updates every few minutes. Harmless fun. But at 11:47 p.m., the app pinged. Santa is approaching your house. Marcus laughed. Then the lights flickered. The app updated. Santa is inside. He checked the house. Nothing. But the app showed a heat signature, a figure in the living room. He deleted the app. It reinstalled itself. At midnight, the app displayed a message. You saw me. Marcus smashed the tablet. But every year since, the app reappears. Always on Christmas Eve. Always tracking something. Last year, it said, Santa is watching your son. This year, Marcus isn't setting it up, but his son's tablet already has it installed.